Hi, everybody. I'm trying something new today. I am trying a Zoom presentation live. So I cannot see myself and I can't see what you guys are doing. So can you guys hear me okay? Let me test this. Please message. We're gonna go deep into it, guys, because I'm gonna do a presentation on working with ancestral lineages. Okay. And I know I said I wanted to do this before, but today is the absolute day to do it. Why? Because incredibly, over the past, well, it's been 2-3 days already. Sorry, weeks, but all of my clients are showing up with really heavy ancestral lineage stuff. And it's ancestral lineage stuff that is focused on the divine masculine, which is interesting. So the father side, and this is both men and women clients, are claiming to have a lot of issues with the men ancestral lineage and the father's side. But of course, we're talking about the imbalanced masculine, and that can present itself in the mother or the father. So today, I'm going to take you on a little journey so you understand how that manifests in the physical body. Okay, what exactly are we talking about when we're talking about clearing this kind of ancestral trauma? Very good. So let me just look at the comments to see if you guys can see me or hear me. Yes, loud and clear. Awesome. I love to hear that. You guys, love you so much. I can't see your comments, so let me see how I can do that. I'm going to share my screen with you because I'm going to take you into the presentation right now. So taking you into the presentation, and we're going to begin. We're going to begin here. And please excuse me, I literally just put this together right now. Yesterday I did a presentation on, I'm going to read comments on here actually, so that it's really easy for me to see what you guys are saying. And if you guys have questions, I'd love for you to let me know if you guys have questions. And we'll go from there. So let's see. Let's take a look at this. Opening your Facebook. I'm going to be going to my profile. All righty. All right, guys, so here we are. Okay. So working with ancestral lineages. Yesterday, I had a really awesome workshop with East West Bookstore, and we were talking about another really awesome topic that's really important right now, that discusses and talks about intuition, emotions, and our immunity, our immune system. So how our immune system is hijacked by those, oh geez, where are we going here? By emotions or the imbalance of emotion. It was a really great class. We really got into some of these deep topics. I hope there will be a replay. Yeah, sorry about doing this later in the day. I had a jam-packed day today, back-to-back clients. But please, there will be a replay. I'm going to post this up on my website so you guys can check it out. I mean, on my YouTube, you guys can check it out, okay? So let's get into it. Working with ancestral lineage. So you guys heard me talk, and I always describe what this looks like, but today I'm going to show you in a pictorial manner what it means to have this infinite consciousness manifested within the physical body. Since I didn't have a plan to do this until just a few minutes ago, I'm going to walk you through this presentation, and I'm going to try to kind of jump around between some images so it's like as clear as possible. Okay, so let's start. Our bodies, these multidimensional bodies, are a manifestation of consciousness, okay? And when we talk about this infinite consciousness coming into the physical body, this is what I'm talking about. This is what it looks like. It's basically this infinite consciousness with it, which is that white light, or perceived as white light from our perspective. From the human, perspective, with our mathematics, with our physics, with the structure of reality that we live in. The best way for us to understand how this information is moving through the dimensions is by allocating this color of white light, which when it's fragmented, it fragments into the different shades of color, okay, just like you see here. Now, in that same way, we have different dimensions that are also fragmented as they are coming out, right? All the dimensions are this dimensional spaces that make up this whole existence that we live in. So this infinite consciousness comes in, which is then coming in to the layers of the body, and the human body, this human meat suit has a multidimensional aspect to it. And so as it comes in through those layers of the body, and it fragments within the body. And in other words, the fragmentation, it's basically compartmentalized the reality. Our souls are fragmented. Our consciousness is suppressed by fragmentation within the matrix. We'll get into that in a second. And so when we come into the three-dimensional plane, this three-dimensional plane, we have duality, right? So this is kind of like the dualistic aspect of the three-dimensional plane. Why? It's the concept of creation. We have the divine mother, the divine father, put them together and they create a son. They create life, okay? And so what happens with this infinite consciousness when it enters into the body is that it comes in through the layers, and as it goes in, it attaches to two systems in the body. Okay, this infinite consciousness attaches to the DNA of the body, the ancestral lineage, which is a 3D human network. Okay, and that information is organized in the body like the chakra system. And I'm going to show you in just a moment. Okay, so as this frequency of infinite consciousness that comes into the body, it's fragmented into these ranges of different frequencies. And the different frequencies organize themselves in the physical body, in the chakras, just like here you can see the different chakras. And these ranges of frequency are different wavelengths. It's basically showing us, as you can see in this picture here on the right-hand side, how the wavelengths are either slower, wider, or faster. Okay, so depending on how these frequency wave is, it's going to be organized within the chakra, and that dictates basically the vibrational frequency of the chakra that is moving in your body, how the information is moving and being filtered through that specific chakra. Okay, now as you know, these chakras are connected to our organs. It's a very beautiful, elegant design. And this is one of my favorite chakra charts. I have a couple of them, but this is one of the ones that I really like, that are really straightforward and easy to utilize, because it allows you to look at the divine function, divine principle, the physical property, its anatomical connections, and its emotional connections. So it kind of gives us a really broad overview of how these chakras are so intricately connected with the different systems of the body, which are absolutely important. Okay, and so each one of these parts of the body that are governed by these chakras, which is connected to the endocrine system, right? That's the energetic overlay in the body that's meshing the energetic body into the physical, biological body. Okay, so everything is interconnected. And so this is the communication occurs through the vibrational frequency of the information that is processed through that particular chakra. And so what's going to happen is that, as you can see, these chakras are overlaid into the endocrine systems, the different systems, the most important systems. Okay, so here, the chakras are a holographic projection created by the fragmentation of life energy or the soul. This information is then organized within the body in a range of categories connected to each organ managed by the endocrine system of the body. So what do we have? We have the creation chakra, the chakra of creation. This is the one that I have. You identify your vibrational signature and put it up here in the crown chakra. Why? Because this chakra at the top of the crown is basically the vibrational signature of all of the information below it. Okay, so all of the chakras underneath that are basically the information that is accumulated and processed up towards that crown, which projects into reality, into the three-dimensional plane. Everything that you're going to be experiencing is a product of the information and programs that you have running in your body, physical and non-physical. And I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. So every single one of these systems, let's start with the pineal gland, which is the third eye. Okay, the thyroid, which is the throat. We have the thymus in the heart, the pancreas or the solar plexus, the sexual organs, the sacral chakra, the coccygeal, and the root. Okay, but these are intricately connected again with those organs that we're mentioning back here. And I invite you to look up this chakra. It's very popular. You can also download it on my website to get very familiar with how these chakras are connected. We can take a look at the root chakra, and this is going to be important information for you to look at later when I get into more information about how these processes store information. Okay, so the root chakra here, we have, for example, the Muladhara, the base of the spine, is connected with the reproductive system. So the testicles or the vagina for the man and the woman, pelvis, legs, feet, tailbone. So all of the lower extremity is being managed, but more importantly, the adrenals, right? And so what are the adrenals? The adrenals are the one that really go into overdrive. For example, when this chakra is out of balance and we come into a state of fear or panic, the adrenals are the first ones to be coming into overdrive. Okay, so notice that connection, very simple, clear understanding of how these chakras are interrelated and working with one another. So there you go. This root chakra that is managing, when it's out of balance, the fear-based programs. So if a lot of us are coming into a state of fear, it's really working with these systems, okay? And when they go out of balance, when one or the other of these chakras are overactive, this is basically where we're looking at the world. So let's say the root chakra is open and it's out of balance. That's where your perception is going to be feeding from. Okay, so it's really important to note that. Now, the information that's being fed is not just your perception of how you're looking at the world outside of you. Your perception is produced by a combination of things. Okay, the perception is being fed into through experiences, learned experiences, and everything that is running your programs. Your programs are a product of learned and everything that you got from your mother, from your father. And I'm going to show you how that is in just a second. But really quickly, let me show you how the chakras work. Okay, what are these chakras? They are like routers of information that are processing information in and out. Okay, and the chakras, this is a nice picture, but it's not showing the back of the chakras. The chakras have a front and a back. And basically these vortices of energy are pulling in energy and expelling energy as well, in and out. If they are working and functioning properly, they're going to be moving and spinning at a correct rate that is in balance with the movement of energy and the meridian lines within your body. If they're out of balance, they could be spinning faster or really slow and stagnant. So I'm going to show you in just a minute how that happens and what happens when that does happen, okay? So when we do, for example, a DNA reprogramming, I'm working with you with the information that's stuck in the body, and that's physical and non-physical. And so, for example, everything that you're experiencing emotionally is going to manifest in the physical. How does that happen? Let me actually come over here to show you that. Okay, so let me show you really quickly. All right, let's take a look at this. And this is from last night's presentation, actually, where I was talking about how emotions stick to the body here. And so, for example, on the left, you're going to see an image of this body. So this body has fungus, for example. So fungus has taken over the intestines and the body. And so what's happening here? Fungus is rooted in distorted sadness, often regress, which insists that you have permanently lost out on the opportunity for love. Sorry, I wrote that wrong. So basically, when you are feeling emotions of regret or distorted sadness, okay, in this case, this is the emotion that they're feeling. It's breeding ground for this substance of fungus. Okay, so it's a perfect vibrational match to fungus. And of course, it's not so simple. This is more, it's talking about sadness, but also any type of regret or feelings that we can't move forward from that perspective, from that specific vibrational frequency. It makes you a vibrational match to this fungus. In the same way that, for example, bacteria attaches to the body. Okay, so bacteria can only exist in the presence of distorted or unrecognized fear. So fear will look like little tiny blots of energy within that organ, and it's going to affect how the movement of that wheel goes. In this case, when the wheels are super hyper spinning, this is an imbalance in the body. And usually that happens when we're in a state of fear. Okay, so this is on the physical aspect. So what happens in that case is that this chakra comes out of balance, and this thought form is basically creating an environment for an attachment, and entities and attachments that are unmatched to that vibrational frequency are going to come in and attach to that. Okay, now the complexity of the attachment is very interesting because it attaches on the etheric level of the body and also the physical. What do these attachments look like? I'm going to show you in just a moment. But before I go there, as I just showed you right now, I showed you a thought form. So let's go with that. Let's talk about the fear program. Let's talk about that fear. When this person, let's say this person is coming into a state of fear. So they have a belief system that makes them believe that they are unworthy or they are incapable of being safe in a certain environment. So what happens? The chakras begin to move in a certain way as a reaction of that belief system. And so it begins to bring out of balance the whole body. Okay, so what's being fed into that fear? We are a product of everything that we are in our ancestral lineage. Okay, so everything that comes down the ancestral bloodline from your mother and your father, we have the nuclear DNA and the mitochondrial DNA. All of this information is basically what's running into the programs that you are running in your system. So ancestral connections are tied to the information within the body. So let's take a look at this person, for example. This person has their ancestors over here, so they have a lot of ancestors. And so when I see cords in DNA reprogramming, the cords literally, they look like something like roots that are connecting. First, we identify the thought form, which is the emotion, and that emotion will tell us where in the body it's stagnant. And that emotion is going to be rooted to the person that first gave you that perception. So, for example, your father played a role in an event where you felt completely helpless and fearful as a child. And so that was the first time you recognized the emotion of fear. So immediately that creates a program, a thought form that you now are running, and it becomes a part of your belief system and reality. So what happens is these energetic cords of thought forms are connected to the body, to the key parts of the body in which are basically outlining the details of the thought form. So the thought form can be that you are in a state of fear as a product of not having support from your father, or you felt abandoned by your father and your father felt fear and didn't know how to manage it. And so there's a complexity of emotions there. One of them is one of feeling unworthy. The other one is one of feeling not safe in your environment. So that's going to connect to two parts of the body. So here it connects to the heart and then to the solar plexus, particularly in the back. Okay, different parts of the body are specifically directing energy and information, just the way I showed you the chakra system. The body is split up in many different aspects. Okay, we have the right side of the body and the left side. The right side of the body is the masculine, the left side is the feminine. So these two aspects of our side, just the way the front of the body and the back of the body are depicting certain aspects within the body and hold specific information, we can identify where the program is and what it's affecting. So in this case, on the right side of his body, he's experiencing these programs, and so it's connected to him. So it came through his father's side. If it's on the left side of the body, it came through the mother's side. But what that means is not necessarily that the mother or the father was the one that made that abuse or that traumatic experience or created that program. What it means is the imbalanced perception of feminine and masculine balance within the event is what causes the attachment. Okay, so for example, the programs of feeling unsafe or not having a solid ground is a depiction of imbalanced male energy. And so, for example, a person will have and show that blockage on the right side of their body, even if it was a mother or a man that made that for them, that created that program, that event, it's going to be showing on the right side of the body. I will explain in a moment. I know that might be a little confusing, but we'll get into that in just a moment. So these programs that are here as cords are lineages that are connected to the physical body that go all the way back to, okay, let's say it's him, this gentleman here, to his mother. And the mother had those programs that received the exact same events. She was a product of the same fear programming, the same belief systems brought by this family. Okay. And the family, the entire family, is basically a product of all of this programming as well. So now we're looking at major ancestral lineages that are connecting us to them. Now, a really, really interesting thing that I want you to notice, we look like this. Okay, we look like this. We're like, excuse me, we are like in a web. We are like webs. Basically, I always give you the imagery that we are like in a web, and wherever the point of awareness is where we are in the present moment. So let's say this is us in the center of this web-like, it's like a nucleus of consciousness. Your fragments, when you come into the three-dimensional plane, become fragmented just like this web. Okay, so this is basically what it would look like. Excuse me, this thing keeps moving. This is basically what it would look like if you were to tap in to the spiritual plane of your energetic body, connecting to the Akashic records, connecting to all of these other more etheric, higher vibrational planes of consciousness, all of your information is dispersed within that overlay that comes in when you incarnate into the physical body and within the matrix. Because this, the matrix, in other words, the human experience within the three-dimensional plane. Because you're not just this human body, you're hundreds of fragments. As a matter of fact, as you can see, there's past life aspects of yourself. There's your archetypes, there's your extraterrestrial fragments of yourself, and all of these are interconnected with all of the players that are within your ancestral lineage. So that means that you have been cycling through these ancestral families for a very long time with the same kind of programs and trauma and stuff like that. Okay. And what brings you into the family? Okay. So what made this gentleman be be a son of this mother in this family is the vibrational frequency that he was a match to. Okay, so we are basically this vibrational frequency that comes into the physical body, and there is a reason that the lessons that we're learning, the challenges and programs that we're trying to overcome coming into this physical plane are in alignment with everything that our entire ancestral lineage is made of and has experienced as well, because we are a vibrational match to that. Okay, now on the other hand, how do you dissolve those vibrational frequencies and matches is by working and deprogramming all of those programs that you're holding within your body, within the many layers of your body. Okay, so it's a lot of really important information. So you understand that when you do ancestral healing, you're actually healing, and all of these ancestors are fragments of yourself. Okay. And so sometimes in regression therapy, we're kind of met with people that are familiar to us, like people that we've seen or we recognize. And it's very interesting because we recognize these people and we look into their eyes, and, it can be in this lifetime, it can be your mother, but in another lifetime, it could have been your brother or your sister or your partner. So this is how we are cycling through these fragments of ourselves. Ultimately, we are all origins of the same, right? We are all one. And so when we talk about being all one, this is what we talk about. So even within those fragments of ourselves, we are all one consciousness. As a matter of fact, as I always say, you and I have someone in common, a family member, just 2,000 years ago. Okay, and I've never met some of you. Some of you are all around the world. So it's very interesting to understand that. And so when I talk about coming into this unity consciousness and also healing that ancestral lineage, why it's coming up right now is because this unique moment in time where we are home and we're not, we're kind of forced to really sit with ourselves is a moment that it will never repeat itself. And one of the interesting things about that is that in this moment, as we have an opportunity to work with our ancestral lineages, it's important that we note that when we do work on ourselves, as you can see, we literally heal our entire ancestral lineage. And what's been coming up a lot for a lot of people this last couple weeks, it comes up in dream time. And note, when whatever you're not doing in waking time is coming up for you in dream time. So the invitation is do the work consciously so that you can help your body, your soul, your spirit move through this human experience as best as possible. Okay. What else does this do? When you're healing and integrate all of these fragments of yourself from your ancestral lineage, you are also choosing timelines. Okay. You're also choosing timelines. So as that vibrational frequency that has come into this physical body, your vibrational signature will define your next experience. So the more that you clean up the ancestral trauma, the better and the ability you have to choose the kind of lineage and the timeline that you're going to be experiencing next. And this is really important for collective healing, especially now that a lot of people are doing mass meditations, group healings. But where is the focus? The focus always starts with you and your work and your trauma and your pain. And through that is an incredible gateway to help you clear up the past. Okay. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Now, make sure you remember this because it's really important that when you clear up your work, your personal trauma, your personal pain, you're really choosing a timeline. Okay. And so your timeline, your vibrational frequency then changes. As you can see on this left side of the screen, I have ranges of frequency and what they can mean. This is just an example. You guys can research what those frequencies are precisely, but each one of those vibrational frequencies are going to dictate a certain color, a vibration, maybe even sacred geometry. Okay, it manifests in different dimensional planes as different things. And so all of those things are being manifested in the body as well. And even though we can't see them, we are carrying a lot of that stuff in the physical body. So for example, if you're in a constant state of grief or fear and your wavelength is really slow and red and heavy, this is what's moving. It's this lower vibrational frequency. So that makes up everything that you are. Okay, so, and that means that you're a vibrational match to that. How does that happen? So imagine yourself, everything that you are as a whole, all of your feelings, all of your emotions dictate your state of being, and therefore are producing your thoughts, emotions, and your psychology, right? And so all of that is affecting the three layers of your body: the mental, emotional, and atomic body. So literally, you are one whole vibrational frequency. It's not just, oh, this emotion that I'm feeling or this thought form. Please understand, every single moment of awareness or a lack of awareness dictates your vibrational frequency. Okay, so basically, this is what we want to embody. We want to be very aware of this mechanism of the human body so that we know how the input and output looks like and how it affects us. Okay, and so of course we know about epigenetics. Just really briefly, you know, I talk about this in depth in other lectures, but the purpose of this is to understand that everything you're eating, seeing, and you know, everything that's in your environment is affecting your entire body. And of course, we are a holographic structure down to the molecular level. So everything is going to be affecting you. It's literally writing your DNA or rewriting your DNA. Right? So, because right now we are not at the mercy, we know we're not at the mercy of genetic prints of information. We know that we can change and we can edit it based on our environment and our belief systems. So it's not like if, you know, certain illnesses run through the family, we can completely change our life in order to become very healthy and not be in alignment with those illnesses that run down the family. Those illnesses are manifestations of thought forms. Just the way that I showed you over here in this body that was sick, right? How do we attach these aspects to the body? So take a look at how this looks here. This is I don't agree necessarily with everything that's on this picture, but I want to show you this picture so that you can see some of these main aspects of the body. Okay, so what happens when we have thought forms that don't benefit us? We have stagnant energy, we have cords, our auric field rips. That's just the awareness of your energetic body is open. That's why I created GPAC, grounding, protecting, aligning, creating, so that you're very aware of your multidimensional body all the time, and there are no holes in which these attachments or entities can come in and attach. But most importantly, when we're talking about our family, for example, we have inherent programs that are creating a vibrational match to re-experience the trauma that's within the family. Okay, so when we work with these ancestral, you know, programs, sometimes we feel completely exhausted after being with family. We're drained. We're hurt sometimes. So all of these programs that are being triggered within the physical body are a result of us having imbalanced energy exchanges with the family. And so what do these attachments look like? The same way, oh, it's not there. So I showed you the cords earlier, and the cords, those red and blue cords that were connected to our gentleman, right? That was connected to the mother and the ancestral family. So what do those cords actually look like? These are very complex systems of energy that are attached to the body. Okay, so what happens? What do they look like? They really mostly look like octopus tentacles is the best way that I can explain it to you. And after hundreds and hundreds of sessions with my clients, it's always the same. I don't have to ever say it. They tell me what it looks like. Okay, they said it kind of looks like tentacles. Okay, and this painting that I did recently is a great way to show you what those tentacles can look like when you're releasing fragments of yourself. These tentacles are attaching to more than one of the parts of the body because, again, as I mentioned, depending on what the thought form is, it's going to attach to the different areas, the chakra systems, the vibrational frequencies that it is affecting in the body. So that can be the organs, the physical layer, or the energetic body too. Okay, so when you start moving these attachments out of the body or these cords, you have to be very mindful, very connected to your body, and have a very heightened awareness to know what you're releasing and whether you released it completely or it's still in the body. This is where discernment and your intuition, training your intuition, plays a tremendous role in healing, right? Because we have to be very clear about that. Now, these attachments that are like tentacles attached to the different chakra systems. And what happens with these blockages over time here, okay, it causes these kinds of blockages. Okay, so here's a picture. This is a picture from Eric Rains, but this is a great depiction of what happens when we have blockages in the energetic body. Literally, we create these blockages, and it can be here at the top, it can be here at the bottom. I see a lot of people having the half of their body completely cut off because they come into programs of not being empowered or being completely helpless. And so those programs that are ancestral programs that are really heavy are causing a huge disconnect with the spiritual self and the physical self. Okay, so which is the first three chakras are the connection to the physical plane, and the top three chakras are the connection to the etheric realm. They are the entry into the etheric aspect of yourself. But as you know, we have hundreds of chakras in the body, and also other chakras that take us into the higher planes of our fragmentation or our entire body, which is within the higher levels of the body, of consciousness and awareness, of the soul layer of the body, okay, and the spirit layer of the body. So how do we clean them? We have to be able to move these out and clear them. And we do that once again by changing those kinds of basic programs. How do we come in to clearing and healing these programs? Ultimately, we have to understand that what is whole, what is right. These programs are created by perceptions of an experience. Okay, so when you have these experiences here, let me bring you back over here. When we have these experiences here with our family, right, they have created a program based on a traumatic situation. And any traumatic experience is the experience of us feeling helpless at some point, where there is a disconnect from what we know intuitively to be real, to be true, and what we're experiencing in the environment around us. This really becomes true when we start doing journey work into the womb. And in the womb, it's just absolutely amazing. The child, the baby in the womb, feels and absorbs absolutely everything from around them, the father and the mother, or the lack of the father and the mother. Okay, so then that baby is a product of that. So that's it. So all of that belief system immediately begins to deposit in them. Okay, so this is anxiety. So the child in the womb is picking up the anxiety from the mother. The mother is feeling anxiety because the father is abusive. And so the first experience of this child coming into this planet begins to feel that anxiety. They don't quite know what it is yet, but they can feel a toxic environment within the womb. And the most incredible part of this is that the majority of these infants in the womb they know inherently what is pure, what is whole. And they know that what they know to be true, which is that love, doesn't match with this heavy vibrational frequency that they're picking up from their mother, which is an imbalance. So how do we know what is balance, what is whole? This is the best way that I can explain it to you. What is whole is what creates. Okay, so we are creative life force. When we come in to this three-dimensional plane, we're fragmented into this dualistic aspects, two polar aspects of ourselves. But it isn't until those two unite that life is created. Okay, and so in that same design, the entire universe functions in that way. Okay, this is the law of this current place that we're in right now, the law of creation within this dimensional plane. Okay, there are other dimensional planes which I'm sure have other laws of existence and creation in them, but in this particular three-dimensional plane, this is the law of creation here. And so in order to create and manifest, we have to have both of these polar aspects of ourselves in balance. Okay, so how do we define what is balance? How do we define that? Well, let's see, where should I start? Let me talk first about this, okay? So we talked about the two polar aspects of that. Now, in order to find balance within those two, we have to look at how these two polarities manifest themselves in our existence. When we come in as an infant, we know that we come from love because that's what we know is right. We inherently know, after speaking to hundreds and hundreds of patients, people, they know in the womb that love is what is the right. That's the creative life force. So then we begin to experience, when we are born, into maybe difficult families, okay? Families that have trauma, that have abuse, that have violence. Or maybe it can be not like that. Maybe it could be a nice family, but, you know, the father is disconnected, or he's not too connected, or, you know, somehow there are these programs and behaviors that make us feel that something is off. So when anything is kind of imbalanced, we can look to this right here, which is the balance of the divine feminine and masculine. And that's how they begin to manifest that imbalance. It's the easiest way for me to explain. So whatever is natural feminine, for example, is, for example, unconditional love, stillness, flow, surrender, sensitivity. What is the natural masculine? It is confidence, protection, inner strength, and clarity. Okay. So when these are inverted or out of balance, what do they look like? They look like a wounded masculine, for example, which is the perpetrator. It's confrontational, it's criticism, it's abuse, dominance, power, aggressiveness, control. So let's look at the wounded feminine, victim, neediness, powerlessness, codependency, oversensitivity. So these manifest themselves within the behaviors of our mother and our father, or the lack of either one. And the lack of either one will produce in us programs of the wounded masculine. Okay, because this is how it manifests itself within us. When we don't understand what is the natural masculine, or the embodiment of a natural masculine, we are taken into this imbalanced self where we're playing out these roles of the wounded feminine and masculine. These polarities are wounded, they're out of balance. And so that's what's going to be the projection. That's what we're going to be experiencing in our environment, and they create our programs. So that creates a problem, because then we're running these programs of fear, grief, guilt or shame, which is a lot of us are running on programs of guilt and shame. That produce these thought programs that are dictating and running our life. And they are so subtle, because we have learned how to cope with that. We've learned how to cope with the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine. And it's become a normal thing for us, right? Even as a collective society, it's become a norm. And so that is the toxic expression of imbalance. And so what we're trying to do now, we can see the manifestation of these imbalances in a lot of things, right? We can see them out in our society and how businesses are run. Any of this consciousness that becomes parasitic, that is dependent on someone else for this life force energy, like these, energy vampires, it becomes wanting to feed, because this consciousness, so this little guy on the right side, is basically feeding off the energy of this other being in order to continue living. And so we come in as a whole, as an entire human race, we are kind of dealing with the imbalance and balance of these kinds of energy exchanges. So what we're doing now as a collective is kind of coming back into a balanced state. And we do that by healing our programming as a whole, as a collective. Let me come back to this one over here. As a collective, we have to clear up our ancestral lineages. Excuse me. We clean up our ancestral lineages because what we're holding on to here is really affecting a much larger connection, interconnectedness than you think. This whole here, you see, this is like a web. So we are all interconnected in such a very deep way. This is how we become one. We become one consciousness. And so when we clear up these ties from the ancestral lineage, we are cleaning up these programs from the collective in a very deep way. So it's really important when we're doing this healing work that we're aware of how all of this is connected, because it's connected to your health, it's connected to your expression as a whole, and it's connected to how you're interacting in your families and with your friends and your, how you present yourself to the world. And I think right now what we're doing is going through this somewhat opportunity for a really great awakening. And this is why, really massive meditations of this kind of healing work is so important right now, because we can begin to clear up all of these root causes, these root programs that are being run. Since we are so interconnected, whatever's running in our subconscious mind is running in the subconscious mind of the collective as well. And all of that kind of goes through, these waves. We're kind of riding different waves of information through the collective. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys today and show you. And I like to present on these things a little more in depth. Today was totally just whim, just let's get online and talk about this real quick, because it's really coming up. It's really coming up, the ancestral work. So if you are, if you feel that it's coming up for you, begin working with it. Like I showed you, how do we get into that working thing is by first identifying the emotion in the body. And the emotion is, when you sit with it, it's going to take you into that cord that I showed you, into the information that is required for you to clear up. Okay, because it's going to take you back to the events in your life in which you were triggered. You are a multidimensional being that's storing a lot of information from all of your life, and from stored information from your DNA, that is your lineage and your connection to your ancestors. So as you clear up all of this stuff, you're really looking at those pains and emotions that are coming up, causing these feelings. And so that's what we want to heal. That's what we want to address. So I'd love to answer some questions if you guys have some questions. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna thank you so much for joining me, you guys. Thanks so much. Awesome. Hey, Cedric. Hey, Sandra, Monica, Tammy. Hey, I hope there's a replay. Yes, there is. Lorian. Hi, Lorian. So good to see you. Pamela Rose. Yes, it's affecting me and my children. I'm trying to do the energetic works to release it. We've been through so much. I know. And so that's the thing. So what is the trigger? Identify the trigger and sit with that emotion. And as you sit with that emotion, see what else comes up. As you begin to peel the layers of these emotions, that's where the information starts coming up. Okay. And it's going to take you down that road where you begin to identify the origin of where that first surfaced in your life. And you can begin to unpack the information there. Okay. Awesome. Amanda. Hey, Amanda. Liz, Diona. Hi. So good to see you. Michaela, David. Hey, Adrian, Dennis. Thank you so much for being here. Sarah, wow, I love your charts. I have often found it hard to explain how this works to my clients and have until now procrastinated making my own, but this has inspired me to get charts. Yeah, it's complex information. But when you're seeing on the other side of the veil, it's it kind of simplifies things. It's a complex system, but once you understand it, it's very easy to begin working with it, okay? Because the thing is, everyone has the ability of seeing this. We just have to go into meditation and we have to connect with the body. Everything that I'm showing you is things that I have worked on myself and been able to go into through meditation, simply through meditation and questioning and working with the emotions. So if I can do it, you can do it, right? All right, let's keep going. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lorena. Liz, so good to see you. Lily, Madeline, hi, Madeline. Lorena, Jose, Veronica, Georgetta, hey, Pamela. So, can the rewriting of my DNA change the DNA throughout my children? Yes, it can, and but not in the way that you think. So, when we're working with family, when we clear up those family roots that I showed you, the work that we're doing, and this is how we begin to heal family problems. Okay, some of us have some really heavy family problems, whether it's with, our father's inheritance, or whether it has to do with, sibling problems, or whatever it is. Those programs, when you work on it yourself, you are dissolving the programs in your etheric body, which again is connected to that web-like system that I showed you. And when you dissolve that information, it dissolves it from the other person. But what happens is it dissolves the connection to them, but they then become aware of it in their environment, in their experience. So you're going to notice sometimes when you cut cords with family members, they might give you a call because they think about you. It's because you have moved energy in their energetic space, in their etheric space. Okay. And it's very interesting. Depending on how you work with this, you have to work very mindfully. We have positive cords and negative cords. We're never disconnected. What I'm talking about here is that we focus on clearing the cord programs of incomplete truths or imbalanced programming in the body. So that's what we want to clear out. That's what we want to work on clearing. And it's like those attachments that are connected to, several parts of the body. So that brings wellness and healing. When you heal yourself, you are now vibrating at a different vibrational frequency that your children are picking up on that new self, on that new vibrational frequency. And inherently, it will change their experience as well. And so that they become a product of their environment, which they now have a mother that has changed her frequency, changed her programs, and the child now inherits that as well. Okay, so every moment is an opportunity to rewrite those programs. So thanks so much, Alita. Thank you so much for joining, Paula. Diona, how long can this take? Well, you know what? It's a lifelong process. But what I found is that when I undid all of my ancestral lineages, I then went into past life programs. Okay. And then I went through all of my past lives, cleaned up the cords and the programs there. And it's very interesting. You come into this incredible opening, this incredible clarity, and this incredible connection. Okay. And the focus of all of this work is to be able to embody that unconditional love, that 0 point, that neutral point of complete awareness and presence. And you can only do that if you deprogram all of the things that are running in the back end. So that's the beauty of it. And this is also what, many enlightened people talk about, the rainbow body. You're organizing all of these programs in the body, coming into this organized state, okay, of observation. All right. So Aletha Williams, I have for years have arthritic pain in my knees, more right side, and I know it is trauma. I've worked on it a lot, but I cannot seem to heal myself. I've been doing the work. What am I missing? So it's really interesting, Alita. So the right side tells you the masculine. So what's the program? Follow the pain, connect with the pain, follow the pain and see what it has to say to you. Okay. Notice the emotions. Now there's a whole science behind this in a sense where our understanding of illness and pain is all illnesses and all imbalances of the body are programs that were inserted into the human timeline at a certain point. Okay. And when they were inserted into the human timeline at a certain point, we also know if they were created, these illnesses, there's also another aspect to it, which is the light aspect. And so to every illness, there's a metaphysical aspect. And so I invite you to research and find out um, what is the metaphysical aspect of arthritis. My grandmother had arthritis, suffered from arthritis from years. And one of her biggest programs was forgiveness, letting go of anger and hate, mostly to the self. Okay, the rejection of the self. So, you know, it's an example, and some of these can be very complex thought forms. You might have to unpack several layers before you get to the root of these programs. But as you get to the root of them, notice where you are living through those programs in your life and begin to work on them, okay? Because all illness, as you saw, I showed you fungus and bacteria, attaches and manifests within the body as a product of stagnant information and vibrational frequency. So we're really holding on to that in the body, and it over time of repeating that vibrational frequency, it manifests into the physical, into this thing, okay? So notice where it comes from and pay attention to that masculine imbalance within us, okay? And so if you want, we can work a little more on that, but see what you can come up with. Kieran, thank you so much for joining. Diona, yeah. Rachel Cooley, awesome. Great to see you, Rachel Cooley. Great to see you here. She's one of the readers at East West. Definitely check her out. Paula, I noticed a difference in my mother's thought process when I did my work. That's how I learned our work affects our lineage. It's deep work, worth it. Thank you for saying that. That's absolutely correct. And when I did my healing work with my family too, boy, I mean, it just felt, I got those phone calls from the family and things started to clear up. There were even apologies from family. There were family problems that dissolved, secrets, deep secrets of my family that came up, that we were able to have closure on some things as a whole family. So your work is incredibly important to healing the whole lineage, okay? Stephanie, yes, they will contact us. Sometimes they may attempt to create new cords with our awareness. We can see it. You're absolutely right. So sometimes they'll want to create new cords. And so it's up to you if you want to create those new cords or how you want to do, you know, your relationship with them. Again, we're never disconnected with them. We just have to learn how to work with those negative cords that we don't need. Okay. Alita, abandonment and betrayal. Yes, my love. Absolutely. That's definitely one of the core things. So that's one of the things that we want to look at. Okay. So Stephanie, did you say pain was inserted? I contemplate that for a while, the origin of pain. Yeah, so I mean, we look at ancient writings like the Nagamati library and God, I can't remember the name right now, but in my regression, in my hypnotic regression, I visited this library in which all of the original texts of the blueprints of the human body and the human experience were written, okay? And these were eradicated. They were burned. They were taken out. But from there, a lot of people have been tapping into this wisdom, this knowledge, the metaphysical aspect of health. Okay, so we need to learn about that, and we learn about it through tapping into our body. I mean, you can pick up books on it. Louise Hay talks about the metaphysical aspects of illness, but I've been able to go even deeper into that when I went into mine. So please take some time and dive deep into them and feel them and see what information has to come up. Okay. All right, my loves. Well, I think I talked your ears off. It is now 10:11. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I want to continue. We'll do some more of these little workshops, little mini workshops with different topics. So write down below, what do you want to hear about? And we'll dive deep into those. Okay. So I hope this left you with some work to do. You guys can check out my video on working with ancestral lineages. I have it on my website, on my YouTube channel. If you like this, please subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. And thank you so much for being here with me. Love you guys so much and have an amazing night. Okay. Much love. Good night, guys.